Rachel Slade is a writer who spends a lot of time in Maine. Her first book, Into the Raging Sea, was a gripping account of the El Faro, the cargo ship that sank in a hurricane, killing all 33 officers and crew members, 4 of whom were from Maine. Rachel Slade's second book, which has just been published, is called Making It in America. It's an in-depth look at the struggles and triumphs of American Roots, a small clothing manufacturer in Westbrook. It's quite a story because this business has swung from successes to setbacks and back again, and done it time after time. When Ben and Whitney Waxman opened American Roots in 2015, their goal was ambitious: to make clothing in America using American-sourced materials with union workers who received good pay and good benefits. Nearly all clothing manufacturers have left the U.S. and moved overseas, where production costs are dramatically lower. American Roots' business model was all but unheard of.
When you began this project, when you took it on, what was the story you thought you wanted to tell?
I wanted to tell the story about heroes, real American heroes, like people who didn't come from a lot, but people who had this vision about what America could be.
American Roots needed skilled, dedicated workers. It found them in Maine's immigrant communities.
They were people who had come from Iraq and Congo and Angola and places all around the world. Many of them were political refugees. And they had found their way to Maine and were eager to start a life here and to get to work.
The main product that American Roots manufactures at its mill in Westbrook is a hoodie. Not just any hoodie, but one that's especially sturdy and well-made, often meant for people doing physical work. On American Roots' website, it costs $108.
There are ways to shortcut the process and construction of this garment. They don't do that. They don't take any shortcuts.
You make the point that what American Roots does by manufacturing in the United States with elements of the hoodie that were manufactured in the U.S., that the money stays here, and that the pay that goes to the workers, which is good pay, stays in the community. So when people buy a hoodie, the money gets spread around Maine and the United States. That is not the case when we buy a hoodie that was made in Vietnam and we go buy it at the mall or we buy it off a website.
It's amazing. It's called the multiplier factor. So just this little factory is actually spinning out a huge amount of money in the community. And that money tends to bounce around quite a few times and grow before ultimately it leaves. When you buy a garment made abroad, the money just goes straight out of the country, probably forever.
One of the things that struck me in this story is the sheer doggedness of the Waxmans in keeping the business going. And it would have been completely understandable if they had at some point said, we can't do this anymore. It's exhausting. Is this part of the reason why there isn't more, why there aren't more operations like American Roots, is because it is so extraordinarily demanding?
It takes a really strong stomach, but the payoff is huge. Their workers have been lifted out of poverty. So the estimate is something like 70 families have been lifted out of poverty through this company.
American Roots has been around, as we've said, since 2015. It's gone through a lot of changes, but its core principles have not changed. How is the business doing now?
They are doing exceptionally well. And I just think that we have reached an inflection point in the United States where people not only care about where their things are made, but are willing to actually spend a little more to support American manufacturing.
You have to wonder if a business like this can be replicated, though, or imitated, or even used as inspiration, because what's at the core of it is Ben and Whitney Waxman and their refusal to give up, their just unwillingness to not keep going day after day. And most owners aren't going to be like that. So can it be replicated?
Manufacturing requires incredible grit and determination. You cannot give up. And if you're founded on principles, you gotta stick to those principles to the end. I don't think there are many people in America who could do what Ben and Whitney have done. But then again, we all underestimate Americans.
So when you came to the end of this story and wrote the final page, did you feel more hopeful about the outlook for manufacturing in the U.S.?
I did. I really did. I think reviving manufacturing in America in all its permutations is going to scratch an itch for a lot of people who are eager to be on a shop floor, build, create, work with machines, and not just sit at a desk behind a computer.
You can buy American Roots, American-made, union-made clothing right from its website. You'll find a link to it and a link with more information about Rachel Slade and her book, Making It in America, in the 207 section of our News Center Maine website or app.